Our first speaker about this topic is International Center of Work and Family, Professor of Managing People in Organization, Dāmas un kungi, profesora Mireia Las Heras. Mireia, hello.
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 Very
Mireia,
excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Nice to meet you. Nice to hear you. Thank you for having you. Mireia, as I understand, right now you are located in Barcelona.
Exactly.
So quickly, shortly, what kind of weather right now is in Barcelona? Because in Riga this morning there was a little bit snowing.
Oh, we would love to have some snow here, but it's about 12 to 14 degrees, so not too cold.
Amazing. We are a little bit jealous about this kind of weather. Mireia, the stage is yours, and we are very interested in what you're going to say for us, in your professional opinion. Please.
Thank you very much, and it's a real pleasure to be not only in Latvia, but all over Europe and all over the world with all of you. So thank you very much, especially because we're talking about a very, very relevant topic for all of us, which is corporate family responsibility. So which means how to make companies better for those that work in the company, not corporate social responsibilities for people who might be outside of the company. Social family responsibility is a concept that looks into the people who work in the company and their families. So basically, let me talk a little bit about this concept. Then I'll talk about the methodology that we use to study corporate family responsibility. And then something that might be very useful for all of us is understanding how this corporate family responsibility has an effect over results in the company, for the person, and for society as a whole. And then some conclusions. So corporate family responsibility refers to the leadership, culture, and policies that facilitate the integration between work and family. So basically, it's all the different levels. So it's not only about policies, which are important, but it's policies, it's leadership, how leaders make decisions about the things that their employees have to do. And then it's about culture. What is the broader understanding of what is needed in the company? Then, so how do we study this? So basically, we measure the policies that people have access to. So our understanding is that in a company, there are as many environments as people in the company, because not everyone is going to have access to the same policies. That's obvious. It's different if you are working face-to-face to the client, if you are working on the back office, if you are working on a factory, if you are working on sales. So every single person will have access, or people will have access to different policies. But then it's also about the supervisor support. So how leaders support or hinder that work-life balance. And then it's about the culture, so the broader understanding. And even though companies try to enforce or to facilitate that the culture is even all over the company, we know that people might perceive it differently depending on many things. So in a company, there are as many environments of corporate family responsibility as people in the company. But of course, some companies have more positive perceptions from their people than others, depending on their behaviors. Good. So we think that there are like we classified these environments in four major environments. One that we call enriching. So the enriching environment is an environment that facilitates not only the balance, but it goes beyond balance. It even facilitates enrichment. So what you live and experience in your company help you to also have better experiences in your family and non-work social life. Then there is an environment that we call favorable. So basically this would be the balance. So actually allows you to have a positive balance between what you do at work and what you do outside of work. And then we go to a more negative environment that is unfavorable. So basically people feel that attending the work responsibilities hinders from attending responsibilities outside of work. And then we call the last one, which is the most negative, which is called polluted. So basically, we all understand and have an image of what that means, right? So again, we talk about policies, but we also talk about leadership, and we talk about culture. So this is relevant because it has an impact over employees, over the company, and over society. These three kind of like stakeholders are intertwined. So it's a little difficult sometimes to separate them, but we'll try to do that, and I'll show some examples, right? But when we talk about employees, we talk about, for instance, about health, right? So something that actually is of much importance to our employees, and even more on these days. But if we create a stressful environment, if we create environments in which people cannot do a sport or take care of themselves, that, is taxing for them. But that is also taxing for the company, because people will have higher levels of absenteeism, for instance, and also some outcomes for the company are the intention of turnover from people, which we'll see, is very much affected by the fact that people can achieve or not this work-life balance. And then for society, things like, for instance, the time that you can spend with your family members, especially when they are either little or when they are very old, taking care of them. So this is very important for society, as we are all, caregivers, and then sometimes in life also care receivers, right? Okay, so the results I will be presenting today belong to a big sample that we've been collecting over the years, almost all over the world. I must say, we don't have yet data from Latvia, but or from any of the Baltic countries, something that we would definitely love to have. But I think our sample is very representative of the world, having countries in Asia, such as the Philippines, all over to North and South America. So far, quite an even sample, a little more men than women, even though I must say that women is overrepresented, because generally in the world, women do not represent 47% of the workforce, but still, they participate probably at a higher rate in our sample. We have people with managerial responsibilities, with children, without children, being in a committed relationship, or singles as well. So, okay, so now the results. So what do we find all over the world, right? So good news is that almost half of the population that is represented in our sample say that they are in a positive environment, meaning that it's either an enriching or a favorable environment. So only 18% of the people say they are in an enriching environment. That environment, I just repeated, that environment that allows for people to gather energy, knowledge, competences in one of the life dimensions, and then bringing it to the other life dimensions. So meaning from work to family and family to work. But still 30% say that they are in a positive, or let's say a balanced situation. But the bad news is that also half of the population, even a little over half of the population, 51%, the people represented in the sample, say that they are in a situation which is unbalanced, which is negative, which actually generates problems and hassles and negative outcomes in their lives, because they have to work in a situation that doesn't allow them to balance their work and their non-work dimensions. So this is basically saying we still have a lot of work to do. So some of the impacts, which this is very, very relevant, as we, as HR people, have to justify our investment, right? So we cannot say we do this only because it's the right thing to do, which sometimes I feel that should be the strongest reason. So we do this because it's the right thing to do. But we also have to justify that the money that we spend will also have a positive effect on the company. And so, thank God, in this case, both things go hand in hand. So we should be fostering this balance and this integration because it's the right thing to do, but also because it's the right thing to do will have positive impact on the company, on the employees, and on the organization as a whole, and in the country. So the first thing I want to mention is about the intention of turning over. That means the intention that people might have to leave the company. So that we see here very clearly that when people are in an environment that is positive, let's remember, positive is A, negative is D. So we can see, from green to red, right? So when we are green environment, that environment that really, helps enriching, people have very, very little intention to leave the company. Let's just think that we're not talking about salary compensations. We are not about promotion. We're talking about the possibility of really integrating work and non-work. So only by doing that, people are much willing to stay in the organization. Some of us might say, like, myself here in Spain, very, very high levels of unemployment. Some people might say, well, why should I care if people are willing to leave the company? I can bring on some other people. Well, big mistake, because here the issue is that most people who want to leave the company will not leave it, will stay with you, will stay with us, which is an even bigger problem because we might think they are happy because they stay, but actually they are quite frustrated, which means they're not going to be people who go the extra mile that we need from them, that extra mile in which they are serving the best they can to the clients, in which they are serving the best they can to other people in the company, in which they are just like giving their best creativity, their best effort, energy, and love, to the company because they are frustrated. So basically, they will not be going that extra mile that we all need from our employees. So we can see that it's very extreme that people who are in a D environment, in that environment that we saw just that it was very negative, people in that environment, they are much more willing to leave the company. So again, this is a big, big issue and can become something that actually makes it very difficult for the company to achieve its goals. So, and we see, I put here a number of lines, not that you can distinguish exactly what it means each line, but basically saying, well, this happens not only in one specific country. This is something that happens all over the world. In all the countries that we've done this study, the same phenomenon to a higher or lower extent, but in all countries, this phenomenon appears. So something that is super relevant. So then we all know that we want to be diverse in companies and that we want to be fair and give people same and equal opportunities. So here we see that when those environments are negative, again, remember negative is the environment, the red one. So people say, both men and women, they say that that environment benefits men over women. So the idea would be environment should not benefit either men or women, should benefit only people who are really performing well and who are really doing their best. But here we see that when it's an environment that doesn't allow for integration, what happens is that the environment benefits people who are males, right? So who do not have those responsibilities over caring for other people. So something very relevant is that people can have, their best energy and dedication when they are working. So again, we see that people who are in an environment that is positive, they can give their best to their work. So they have bigger levels of vigor and dedication. So not allowing that balance, that integration also is taxing because people cannot have that much energy to dedicate to their own jobs. Obviously, they are not so satisfied about their work-family balance, so that is quite obvious, and it follows very much the model, because I do not have the time, I do not have the energy, I do not have the resources. Then same thing for motivation. So we all thought we were going to have employees who are highly motivated. So here we measure three different ways of being motivated. For a social motive, because I want to really help other people, so that declines if the environment is not positive. Intrinsic motivation, I want to work because I really like what I do and I really like the people I work with. Again, it goes lower when we are in a negative environment. Same thing for extrinsic motivation. Then impact on society. So we need people who can devote time to their children so that they develop in a more balanced and positive way. So we can see that the environment has a big impact over both men and women and the time they dedicate to their children. So in any of the environments, women dedicate quite much more time to children than men do, but still, it has an impact over both men and women. The more negative the environment, the fewer hours that men and women dedicate to their children. Days dedicated to family meals, we know how important that is, very important for their cognitive and psychological development. Again, it depends very much on the type of environment that we allow. And then impact on society, so the health of people gets to be worse. People exercise less if they are in a negative environment. People have less energy, and their quality of sleep is much worse if they are in a negative environment. So that said, and I know that I only have 1 more minute because I want to finish right on time. That said, the conclusions is the results warn of a high degree of dissatisfaction, 51%, among workers all over the world. And dissatisfaction with balance results in personal, organizational, social costs. So definitely the investment will be, very much worth it if we put, money into allowing people, into making the environment friendlier to work and family. So that will have positive effects over the people, over the organization, and over society as a whole. So hope you all can work, with high energy to make this happen in your companies.
Professor, thank you. There's a lot of valuable information. So a few questions from me. What does your experience says about work-life balance? What has to do with competitiveness and productivity in this nowadays new normal?
Yeah, so definitely it has to do a lot with competitivity, because and a lot with performance. When people are drained because they don't sleep well, because they are not so healthy, because they are stressed out, it's impossible to maintain a high level of productivity. Actually, we measure it, so we couldn't get to show all the results that we have, but it's definitely very much related to performance. So, and performance sometimes is difficult to measure because the output is not easy to measure, but very much depends on how it's perceived by the supervisors, and they perceive that people who are not well balanced, they have a much worse performance, sometimes getting to a 15%, 1.5. So that's a huge number, So if a person is not well balanced and his performance is 15% on average lower, means that the company can really go in trouble because of that reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is you can see in the outcome results as well. One more thing about this COVID-19 situation, a lot of employees right now are working from the home office or just from the home, and there is a lot of speaking experts about the burnouts. When you have to work, you have to be productive, and you have to take care of your children, and this is the main challenge in this very moment, and I think the next year will be plus minus the same. What kind of advice as expert you can give the employees, the company owners, how to manage this kind of situation, this COVID-19, but they're working at home?
Thank you very much, because I think that that is very relevant. So I have, there are many things that employers can do, but first of all, what I think employers should do is to foster that leaders, that supervisors are very close to people so that they understand what are their situation. It's very different if you're working with 3 kids at home, or if you're working by yourself and then you feel isolated, or if you have an older person who is sick and needs to get care. So it's very important that supervisors are aware of the situation. Also that supervisors are flexible. So because we all have different situations and we all have different biorhythms, and we might feel isolated or overwhelmed or anxious for any reason. So that they can come up with solutions that really are targeted to allow those people to work when it's best for them, and also to feel the support. So organizations are groups of people that work together toward a goal. So they need to feel that they are part of a bigger organization, so that they are supported by their colleagues. So I think that it's very important that supervisors are very close and give that advice, that support that is needed, because this is a very taxing situation that is being very, very long. And many people are experiencing anxiety, not because they are working from home, but because of the situation of the COVID-19, the uncertainty in companies. They don't know whether the company is going to survive. They don't know, how their loved ones are going to do. So we need to give support to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Usually the people saying, I will take a little bit my work at the home, and there I have the strict line. I will work till 8 o'clock, and that's it. And then slowly, this line starts to erase, and this wall starts to crash down. And then and in one day you just understand, okay, where is the working time, and where is my private life, and where is my family time? What is the first things for the people, maybe for the company owners, when you can understand where it starts, the line starts to erase and everything goes together, the private life, the working time?
Yeah, it's very important to draw those boundaries. So those boundaries, generally, we used to have those boundaries more clear, because when we were at home, we were in the office. When we were when we were at work, we were in the office. When we were at home, those started blurring, already many years ago, because of all the technological advances. But still, it's become way much more difficult now. So we need to make an effort to set those boundaries in a clear way. So boundaries that are physical. So when I'm in this table, I'm working. So everyone in my family knows that when I'm here is because I'm working. And myself, I know that when I'm here, I'm working. And when I'm not here, I'm not working. It might be, I don't know, the kitchen. It might be one of the rooms, whatever, right? But so I need to have that physical boundary and also mental boundaries. So for instance, I have a schedule, so I work 9 to 12, or I work 7 to 12, whatever it is, in the morning, in the afternoon. And over weekends, I don't open my email, for instance. And I tell everyone, I'm not opening my email anymore on weekends, so that I set those boundaries. And I also, I'm transparent about those boundaries, and I tell other people, because otherwise, as you say, it gets to a point in which it's like a magma, when we don't know whether we are working, we are with our family, and in our head that might be daunting.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. That was a really good tips and tricks, as I say.